All right, y'all, we got week 174 right now, and I mean, honestly, it's not as exciting as I was kind of hoping for right now. I'm just really happy this municipal election is behind us, and we don't have to constantly see 102 people vying for one seat. So I'm glad that that happened. Congratulations to Olivia Chow, however you feel about it. I really don't care anymore because we've talked enough about it, but hey, let's maybe talk in the comments if you want. So this week, we're going to be talking quite a bit about, well, everything, really. We're going to talk about the condo supply and house supply and what's happening there in our urban communities, and it might not be what you think. And also, let's see, what else we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what is selling really well right now, but more importantly, we're going to talk about a couple of property types that have some serious opportunity right now as we head into this summer lull. And this is exactly that right now, a summer lull with, of course, some seriously damaged buyer sentiment. With all of this inflation and interest rate talk happening again, it's heating up in the news cycles, which is sort of, what we're seeing in real life, where some buyers are taking their foot off the gas, starting to enjoy the summertime, which is normally what happens right now. So let's not confuse what's happening right now with some sort of market correction. Is there space for a correction to happen? 100% it is within the realm of possibility. But when we look at what would cause a correction, how probable are those scenarios? And let's look at that. Like what are the things that would cause a market to correct? We all know that prices don't just come down because they're too high. So what can happen to remove buyers from the market? We've already seen one major thing that can happen is uncertainty in the interest rate environment. We've gone through a dramatic rate hike since last March, multiple rate hikes since last March. There was one in June and there may be one in July. I'm not going to say there is going to be one, and I'm not going to say there isn't going to be one. Of course, I don't think that increasing rates again is the right move, but am I saying that with a bias because, if rates don't move, then we tend to get more buyer activity, which means, my business does better? Potentially, I guess, but I really don't know if continuously hiking rates is the best move, but it's the only move. So what else are you really going to do? We do have a really strong and resilient economy in Toronto specifically, and in Canada in general. So it's really, not a double-edged sword, that's not the right word. At this time, we expected demand for things to have, waned a little bit quicker, but that didn't necessarily happen, which meant there's rates continued to have to go up in order to, get rid of some of that demand and remove some buyers out of the market, which it successfully has been doing. With one more rate hike, I think that will remove a bigger chunk of buyers from the market. So, if you're a seller right now, it depends on the type of property you have, but if you absolutely need to sell for whatever reason, you might want to consider getting ready to get to market pretty soon. Because I don't see really much more opportunity for the rest of 2023 to be a seller in general. But like I said, there are some properties that are selling well, and we'll talk about that some more as we get into it. But right now, I want to talk about supply overall, about the urban communities. Now, if you click the link in the description section below, you'll see that there are all the stats there. And if you've been tracking it week over week, and I've linked last week's there, and I always do, you'll notice that supply for houses pulled back finally. We haven't seen that happen in 2 months. So we were dangerously getting close to 600 houses for sale in our urban communities. And once we go north of 600, we tend to get a pretty intense swing into buyers market territory, which isn't really happening across the board, but it is on some house types, which we'll talk about shortly. So I'm glad that pulled back, but what didn't pull back is condo supply. Condo supply crossed that 2,000 unit threshold by 12 units. So we're right now in a position where condos are probably going to be swinging into a full buyer's market in this summer. So if you don't need to sell your condo, I probably wouldn't go to market with it right now, especially if it's a 1-bedroom or something that's very investor friendly, because now getting into some opportunities right now exist in that space, because the majority of those condo listings that I've been talking about are in that sub $700,000 area, where you see a lot of condos for sale that are owned by investors that might be over leveraged or just panicking when they shouldn't be, and they're selling their units. We don't want them to. It's not a smart move. Good investors do not panic and sell, but they are. So there's some decent opportunity there for people that are looking to get into entry-level condos, because that is pretty well supplied, better than I have seen it in a while. Now, contrary to that, are the larger condos that are in urban communities in smaller boutique buildings, like think St. Lawrence Market, 55 Front Street, think throughout Leslieville, all of the boutique buildings there, think like High Park, think Roncy. Those condos that are larger, especially if they have terraces up to $3 million, are still selling very well, very fast, and for big money. Why? Because we have an aging population. People are very well funded. Their real estate has done very well for them as of their other savings, because it's not just about real estate. And they are ready to downsize into these beautiful condos that are selling very, very well right now, which is adding to some of that house supply, because those people are selling their houses versus keeping them and renting them out. So on the freehold side, or houses, most of the time the seller is in the driver's seat if you have a fully turnkey, non-cookie cutter type of place. So nicely designed, some custom finishes. It always makes sense to add some customization to a home while you're building it, versus an off-the-shelf Home Depot special, which is not selling very well at all right now. But it depends on the neighborhood. So let's look at neighborhoods like Roncesvalles, High Park, North Riverdale. Those three communities seem to be completely resistant to any sort of market changes, because no matter what type of property it is, it seems to be doing really, really well in those communities. My clients lost out on Friday to a place that had, you walk into this house, it smelled horrible. There was evidence of animal abuse in this house. Animals are no longer there, thank goodness. But this house was a raging disaster, didn't have parking, one of the smallest lots in the neighborhood, and still managed to generate a couple of offers. Another one on a street called Argyle, which our clients are probably gonna pass on because there's just gonna be a ton of activity, needs a top to bottom, at least $1 million renovation, and it's gonna get a ton of action too. So it really depends on the area. But those three pockets, if you're looking there, there are no deals, and they very rarely are. But of course, occasionally they do happen. There's a street called Marion there, where there's a beautiful home for $2.3 million, would have sold for 2.6 plus at the peak of the market. So I don't really know what's going on with that one. So there are some opportunities, but you've got to be working with an agent that knows the inside scoop on all this stuff. So if you're working with an agent and you're looking all over the city of Toronto, it's time to focus that search, okay? Like, you can't just look all over the city of Toronto. You got to focus on some neighborhoods and really go all in on those neighborhoods. So that's where properties are still selling well, and the opportunities that exist are the less than ideally renovated ones, the ones that are more cookie cutter. So if you see places like that where you could make some cosmetic changes down the road to improve them, to make them a little bit more custom, I'd probably make an offer on something like that right now to get a way better price and put some money in the bank so you can do some customizations to help get what you actually want. So strictly focus on location, the school zone, whatever it is, and you're gonna be just fine there. So what else is not selling well? Some opportunity exists still in the assignment world. Now, I've linked what an assignment is so you can read all about it and understand what it is, but we have some pretty amazing assignments available for sale right now at original 2018 prices. Sellers aren't taking any profit. They just want to get out of the deal because they're a little bit scared of what's going on. Again, I don't think it's the right move. We've talked about all the options, but they're making that decision to sell anyway. They just want their deposits back. Amazing end user friendly units, like over 1,000 square feet, at prices that are in line with resale prices or a little bit below resale prices, which is something that I haven't seen in a long time with how expensive pre-construction has gotten. So please reach out so we can share that custom list with you of exclusive assignments available for sale that nobody else has really seen yet. But these units are really, really special. And I was just in Wonder Condos last week for the first time. And one of the first times I've seen a building actually end up looking like the renderings. I think it's going to be the darling of the East Side, especially Leslieville. So reach out and let's talk about those properties there. So other opportunities exist in commercial residential types of properties, mixed commercial residential or straight up commercial properties. Now, there's always kind of opportunity in that space. Like, it's a more consistent market overall, especially the commercial residential side of things. But right now, as money is dried up for a lot of people and money's become extremely expensive for a lot of people, these commercial properties require a little bit, more in terms of down payment. So it excludes a lot of buyers, and financing is a lot more difficult for these properties. So if you're sitting on a little bit of cash, that is where I think you can really get some good bang for your buck right now in the commercial, residential, mixed space. Think, those like 2-story, 3-story spots along Queen Street, King Street, any major urban street will have them. There's some decent opportunity there right now. We've got a couple of exclusives there, especially in the Corktown area, where I think it's really, still a good opportunity for some places. But again, the focus for me is Kingston Road all the way up to Port Union. But again, Kingston Road doesn't really have too many of those mixed use once you're out of the beach, of course, and into Birchcliff, Cliffside, and beyond. Like, we don't have too many of those residential, commercial mixed ones there, but there's a lot of action coming there. So there's still some good buying opportunities along Kingston Road. Depends on the pocket though, because much like the North Riverdale, Roncy, High Park areas, there are some pockets throughout that Kingston Road corridor in the Guildwood area, as an example, that are still doing very, very well. So you've got to know where you're shopping, what you're shopping for, and what that product is doing in the current market. And it's not just always about rates. I mean, people just need homes, okay? They're gonna do it, whether the rate is whatever, or 5% or 3%, they're gonna make it happen, but it's going to affect that process a little bit. That's all. What else did I want to talk about today? I'm looking at my paper, it's got 3 things on it that I've already talked about. Oh yes, so let's talk about what's going to happen with rates in July. So like I said, I'm not going to say that it's going to go up or it's going to go down, but I don't think it's going to go down. 2023, there's not going to be any downing in 2023, but with the inflation rate hitting 3.4%, I just wanted to clarify what that means, right? So we talked about the base rate last year. The base effect. When we're comparing a regular month to an extremely high month, you tend to see a drastic swing in prices of gas specifically. That was the biggest contributor to our inflation number going from 4.4 to 3.4% month over month. We'll see what happens next month. But if we can maintain that 3.4 or lower, then we're on a good trajectory to hit that target 2% in 2024, first quarter, second quarter. And at that point, we can start to see some rates leveling out a little bit, coming down, a little bit more certainty in the marketplace. So again, I don't think there's anything to be alarmed about. I don't believe that this is a 1989 type situation again, which some people are saying it is. I think that economies, like I've said before, process recessions much quicker than those years. So even if we do have some sort of event that causes another correction, we'll be out of it a lot quicker than previous corrections. So you can challenge me on that all you want. I'm happy to talk about it. But some people just like to go on Twitter and just make up these stories about people. And there's somebody on there right now who, obviously I can't say it's about me, but the scenario they're describing is pretty much exactly what I've done over the past couple of months, and exactly some of the things that I have said over the past couple of months. And they're using it as, look, somebody's an idiot and here's what he's been doing kind of situation. That's kind of cowardly and pretty gutless and weak. So I don't really go and do random Twitter rants about people like that. So I would rather have open conversation about these things in the comments over here with people that are willing to share their names, because also having random conversations with people that won't tell me their name is a little weird. But anyway, that's like a little tangent I went on, because reading that Twitter thread this weekend had me raging. And just because somebody would be that ridiculous and that, I don't want to say stupid, but it's pretty stupid to do something like that. And it shows how unprofessional that particular person is. But they project a lot of their feelings. But anyway, this isn't about that. And I don't want to talk about that anymore. But let's talk more about the market. So is inflation going to go up or down next month? Honestly, I don't know. I'm just tired. It's summertime. I just want to chill. We're moving out of our house this week. We're moving back downtown. We're renting our house out. We didn't sell it. We tried twice to sell it. Didn't get the number that I really, really wanted for the house. So we're going to keep it. And in 5 years, it's going to be a blessing. I'm off Kingston Road. My area is popping off right now. So in 5 years, I'm going to take, I don't know how many more hundreds of thousands of dollars to the bank. So it's a good move. It's going to change the way we're going to operate a few things right now, but it's still a good move. So if you can, hang on to your property, honestly. You're going to thank yourself. Your future self will thank you. Anyway, I'm going to keep this really short this week. I feel a little bit distracted, disorganized. My brain is kind of elsewhere right now. I don't know if you saw on Instagram, we launched our second location in Millbrook, which is 20 minutes outside of Peterborough, which is going to expand into that whole east area. It's called the Spring Team East. And we are going to be launching in Hamilton next week. And I'm very excited about that too. So we got Spring Team Victoria, Spring Team Hamilton, Spring Team East, starting from Millbrook and growing from there. Of course, we've got the Spring Team Toronto. So that would be some serious expansion right there. And we are open to other locations, especially in the USA. Looking at you, USA. Anybody out there want to talk expansion location for the Spring Team? I'm here. Let's talk about it. Anyway, so that is all. Thank you so much. Comment below if you have any questions. And let's see what happens July 12th when the next Bank of Canada rate announcement is. What do you think is going to happen? I don't know. Let's see. Let's talk.